Hello, good day, beautiful people. I am the Inspirational Lady Noble 365 Tarot. Welcome to my channel. I greatly appreciate you being here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I trust you will love this vibe. And everything you need to know about me is in the description below. This could be past, present, or future, you or someone around you. Okay, so take the resonates, leave the rest for someone else. Remember that tarot is a tool, it is not the final rule. So let's have an empty cup so that we can really see what is up. Okay. All right. All right, collective. I'm picking up on the energy that right now you could be either living in a household or there's someone around you, maybe frequently. This could be in your household, whether this is a spouse, a sibling, a family member, or on your job. There is someone, or this could be a friend as well, okay? There is someone around you frequently, quite often, who is kind of like a negative Nancy, okay? This is someone who likes to hyper focus on negative energy. This is someone who's, oh, you hear what happened on the news? This is every day. And it's never nothing great or positive, okay? This is someone who just loves to hyper focus on negative energy. And this is someone who has been around for a while. This could be a coworker, someone in your family, or someone in a friend circle, okay? This is someone who's always looking forward to having a tower moment. This is someone who's likely to always see the glass half empty. And so I'm picking up that you're very much different from this person. So if they're in a friend group, you're not the person who brought this friend to the group. Maybe you know them through another friend, or either they're always invited from or through another friend. Well, okay. So yeah, this person is always just in a negative mindset, very negative, very low vibrational, not interested in even having positive conversations. And for some reason, you have noticed, like the smile, the demeanor on this person's face, you have noticed that this person kind of takes joy whenever something bad is going on with someone, whether it's something negative in social media. It's like they feed off of the energy. And so your attitude and your energy is much different. No one is perfect, but you try to, no matter what, with the Nine of Wands, you're someone who has overcame a lot throughout your life, and you have not chosen, to let it get you down. You have persevered in your life in many ways, and people know this about you. And so it has become like an irritant to you, irritant, like it bothers you. It's like an allergy or something, you're like, I can't take it anymore. I no longer desire to be around this kind of energy. You have actually, this is different. This is very different energy. You have actually noticed that this person becomes excited or happy, like a smile, like how this lady's looking with the smile, like, yeah, So you don't trust their energy, you don't trust this person. So you decided to possibly isolate yourself, okay? You're standing in authority and you're making sure that you practice self-preservation, and you're only partaking in things, that make you feel good and that are healthy for you, as you should. So you could be MIA, you could have people wondering where you are, okay, in this friend group. Or if this is someone at work, maybe you eat lunch with these people, or maybe when you're not at work, maybe you hang with these people, and several people are speaking about you, or they're asking about you, but it's the energy. You no longer are desiring to be around it. With the Seven of Swords, you trust and know that there is, every action has a reaction. And you're like, whatever energy this person is harvesting to where they become happy or start to smile or smirk, which is a frown, a nasty frown with a smile, a smirk at people's trouble. You said, I don't want to be a part of that. It's coming off as snakish, like all the snakes that are in this picture here. You're like, I don't want to find out what it is, nor am I going to hang around it. I'd rather practice self-preservation and focus on developing my own Ace of Cups. Focus on love, okay? Because love is the highest vibration. and you want to maintain your frequency. And when I say maintain your frequency, we're not talking about pretending, we're not talking about being fake, but honestly, wholeheartedly choosing to expect a positive outcome no matter what you're dealing with, instead of focusing on the negative hypotheticals. So that's what I mean when I say that. Someone needs to hear that. And so, you could be a teacher, you could be a teacher yourself. You could be some kind of spiritual teacher or leader, or this could be something that you're developing your craft into becoming a spiritual teacher or leader. Or if you're not a spiritual teacher, you could teach in a school, okay? You could teach in your church. Maybe you teach Sunday school, okay? All are welcome on this channel. Does not matter what your belief system is. But either way, you are building towards, leadership goals and quality, success, abundance, you're working towards maturing towards the ideal life that one desires. And that being around energy, that cannot be trusted, that smiles and becomes excited at the glare or just a snicker of, someone having a tower moment. You're saying, if I continue to allow myself to be around these kind of people, it could create stagnation for myself. So I don't see you announcing this, which you don't have to. You never need to announce your arrival or your departure, which is something that many adults forget about. Some people feel they must always announce and explain what they are doing or why they are leaving. Uh, you know, as I'm drinking the tea, this tea that I have, the Buddha says better to conquer yourself than to conquer yourself than others. So it's better to conquer yourself than others. I just had to share that with you, and that's exactly what you are doing. Thank you, Spirit. That's exactly what you're doing. You're conquering yourself rather than being merged or asserting yourself in an area that is not for your highest good. It does matter who you hang around. It does matter. You can't control other people. We can only control ourselves, and we know this, but it does make a difference of who you have in your life, who you allow in your life, who you socialize with, who you hang around. It matters. It really matters who you allow your children to be around. That's when, who you're sharing your information with. All those things are very important, and they do matter. And the fun fact about energy is those who don't partake in the belief are the ones who get hit the hardest, and they're often left scratching their head and wondering, I wonder, why is this happening? I wonder, they're wondering, why is that? I wonder. It's not you. It could be the energy around you. Okay. And so we know energy is never destroyed. It simply travels from one person, place, or thing to another. And so why stay in the way? It's not that you need to check this person and say, hey, you need to change, because we can't change people. You just simply remove yourself out of the equation is the best bet, and stay out of the way. Okay. Because this person could be harnessed in some kind of energy. Spirit is saying, especially if you picked up on this, you could have possibly said it to yourself several times when you see them. Maybe when you show up to a gathering they invite you to, or when you go to work and you see them in the break room, or you like, oh, here they go. Here, here's Evelina, or, here's Negative Nancy. Before they even speak, it's like you already know what kind of energy that they are exuding and what's coming from it. So there's nothing wrong with you standing in your authority with the Knight of Wands. Okay. And this is something you can keep to yourself. It's okay. You busy, you got other stuff to do. Because as I said, you're working towards overall, as you move forward in age on your path, you want to make sure you're in the energy of celebrating and being happy. Look at the beautiful smiles of this couple here. It looks like they could have just gotten married, maybe they renewed their vows, but you're working on things of progress. Who wants to invest in anything else less? You have ended your cycles with the Ten of Swords, and you see this person getting a treatment of acupuncture here. You have ended your cycles of being burdened and overwhelmed and stressed and feeling down and depleted, or being toxic and gossiping about people. Spirit is saying you've had your days with that. That's the past. You're no longer a kid. You're no longer in your era of being childish. You have learned and overcome that. So you're not going to assert yourself back around people who are dwelling in cycles that you have closed. There it is. That's what I was trying to say. Yes, you have been, went through your death and rebirth experience when it comes to childish behavior, when it comes to gossiping and slander, or always seeing the cup half empty, or what if, and I bet they doing this, and you're done with that. You're done with that gossiping about people. You could be someone who found out that what you put out does actually return to you. And the more negative you are regarding people outside of you, that is projection, it's returned to you. So I'm really picking up, you learned that it's true. It's not just something that you hear constantly or repetitively on a tarot video. It actually is reality. So you could be a teacher, or a spiritual teacher, or studying some kind of, there's teacher again, some kind of spiritual wisdom. And you're also working on yourself. You could be into meditation as well. Lots of grounding work, making sure you are properly aligned as well. Okay. And so you're studying as well, learning about yourself, learning about life, learning about energy, how to read energy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so you're gaining a lot of wisdom, and you're applying the lessons that you've learned from the cycles that you closed in the past, and that wisdom, it is helping you with the high priestess here. It's one thing to read a lot of books or gain a lot of knowledge and not use it, but you're actually putting this knowledge to work here. You're like, wait a minute. I've met this. I've encountered this energy before. Okay, I know what to do with this energy. Okay, not deal with it. Let me reverse. Let me not question it, because we see what it is. We see, oh, what a web we weave. It's full of some of everything. Okay, you don't want to be involved, nor do you want to be caught in the crossfire of someone else's actions. That's often what happens. There are people who will have encounters with people, and they will notice that there's a certain or instant change or fluctuation in their life, and they'll wonder why. Well, who's the last person you were encountering with? Who's the new person? Who's the new energy in your life? And it's not that this person is doing something to you. It's just the energy that their aura is carrying. You are, just you're attaching yourself. It's like you're latching on, like a mosquito on a hot summer night that smells fragrance. You're latching on, yeah, just energy swapping 24/7. Energy swapping, spirit is saying. So you're refusing to break your own heart. You're like, I'm not going through that cycle. I'm picking up, you've been through some things, man. And you're like, mm-mm. So when you recognize familiar energy, you know how to remain in your power with the emperor here. You know how to stand in your power and not let it affect you and not let it stress you. You just simply make that executive decision. Instead of saying, I ain't got nothing else to do. Let me see what this is about. You're like, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. I've incurred enough knowledge to last me to infinity and beyond. I've learned my lesson. I will not repeat. Let me tap in here and keep myself balanced. As you should, collective. Okay. Maybe you could have been in a relationship, that left you feeling like you were out in the cold. This could have been emotionally. Maybe you had friendships where there was a lot of betrayal and deceit. And not to say everyone is like this, but I'm just naming lessons that you've been there, done that. You've already been there, done that. You're not allowing anyone or anything to put you where you've already passed the test. It's like retaking a midterm. You've been told that you passed, but you go back like, I want to take it again. And the teacher like, you passed, but I want to take it again. Then the teacher say, you got the highest score, but I want to. You would never want to take it again. Once you pass the test, you're good. Okay. Okay, because this is someone who does not know anything about, love of self and harmony and cohesiveness and upliftment. When you meet certain people, you come across different distorted energies. You have to be mindful, collective, that you may be aware of some things, but the knowledge that you have, everyone does not have. Everyone does not know everything. We all are on different levels. We come into our own awakening in our own time. But people, they're not interested. They are not aware. And also, they may not be interested. There are some people tell you, oh, yeah, I know what positivity is, but I don't want to hear it. Give me some toxic, give me some chaos. There are some people who just find comfort there. They love the shadow. They stay in the shadow. And then not to do the shadow work. They just rest in there like, I'm comfortable, homie. Give me a pillow. Who talking about healing? Healing from what? Transmuting what? Accountability. Who talking about accountability? There are people who actually, they just find comfort there. They like, give me a pillow, give me a blanket, give me a snack. I'm going to live my life and stay on the shadow side. And that's their business. But as long as you keep, staying in this energy of the Eight of Cups, as you see this person is smiling with this beautiful cat here. I think this is the cutest picture. He relaxing. He like, let's see what's on TV. You're in the energy of walking away from that kind of ish. You're not paying it no attention. Allow people to be them and go through their own path. Allow them to go through their own awakening in their own time. They do not need anyone's assistance, nor do you need to explain who you are and why you are doing it. That's why on my channel, I'm just speaking for myself. It's heavily repeated and introduced. Just simply remove yourself. Never spend your time excuse me, trying to explain, who you are or why you're doing it or what you're doing, because you're just going to find nothing but friction there, and you'll stress yourself and you'll also overwhelm yourself trying to explain to someone who does not want to know. Once again, they're like, I don't want to know nothing about that. Tell me about something negative. Who's sleeping around? Who partner is cheating? Give me the gossip. So yeah. Yeah, people feed off of negative energy. They feed off of it. But just because that's who people are, Spirit is saying, collective, that's not who you have to be, because you've done a lot of work on yourself and you do not have to allow yourself to be saturated in that energy. Just simply remove yourself. There's no need to explain. Let them be them or let them stay where they are. If they're sleeping, let them get their sleep. It's just like a mom with a newborn baby. That first week or two at the house, and you trying to get them on schedule. Let the baby sleep. No, you can't pick them up and hold them. Let them sleep. Yeah. Yeah. And so with the Six of Cups energy here, as I look at this little girl passing this flowers, this bouquet of flowers to this lady here, that is you taking the knowledge that you've learned over time and applying it, as you move and grow older and move forward on your path. Things you have learned, even bits and pieces of knowledge and experience, even as a small child, you have learned to carry those things with you and utilize them for your highest good. Okay. Yeah. Indeed. Okay. This could also be someone who loves, just a pity party. The woe it's me. Somebody did this to me. They did this to me 20 years ago and I'm still stuck from 20 years ago, and that kind of energy. No accountability, isn't interested in it, isn't interested in it. You have to let some things go. And I understand that people do go through things where they are treated wrong or they have experiences that may impact them, but there's no need to stay there. There's no need to stay in that energy. Okay, because you're only defeating your own self. You're blocking yourself from giving yourself an opportunity, a fair chance. And here we go with the eight. This is you putting in the work. Metaphorically speaking, this could be you, focusing on your career, focusing on your hobbies, your family life, your finances, somewhere you want to travel, focusing on your children. Maybe you want to decorate. This Eight of Pentacles, this represents being persistent and consistent and very focused, okay? Very diligent and focused. So, yes, you're busy. You are busy. hmm Indeed. So you could have Taurus placements somewhere in your chart as well, male or female. You could have Taurus placements somewhere in your chart. You've been there and done that. Okay? hmm Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, the High Priestess and the Hierophant. Okay. So, the Hierophant is someone who is a leader, but also very well connected. You could be someone that works for some kind of organization that is connected to the city you live in or the state you live in, or you could have an interest where you volunteer. I'm picking up somebody who volunteers. Maybe you volunteer at your church. Maybe you volunteer in your neighborhood, at your children's school, okay? Or you're trying to start some kind of organization as well. You could be into that. Yeah, this could be what you do in your spare time. Helping, assisting, giving back, building, creating, traveling. hmm and see, this is their energy. The Ten of Wands. They're focusing on, who stressed out? Did you see what happened over there? Yeah, they had bags, and then they went to the trunk, and then they went to the car. Did you see the lady come in? It was two ladies, and I saw a guy too. Just that chatty patty. That chatty patty energy there. And see, with the high priestess is very wise. She's not a chatty patty, male or female. They know what to share and what to keep on reserve. The high priestess is more likely to be more observant and very private with their life. Not afraid, but more observant, okay? hmm Because they know who they are. They know who they are, okay? Yeah. So continue to rest and rejuvenate. And it's a wonderful thing. It's like you have also broke the pattern of not being able to recognize. You recognize any old energy that you have experienced in your past, but it's in a new body. Because, when you have an experience with someone, it'll show up again in your life, just with a different face and a different location. And so you have conquered that. You have won and overcame that challenge. You are able to identify when that old residue energy pops up into your life. And you're doing the right thing by moving on and separating yourself expeditiously. Okay. So continue to surround yourself with like-minded energy, because it's like you're finding no pleasure in being around this person. You want to focus on love and growth. Okay. And I don't blame you. There's enough. Life is enough by itself for everyone individually. We see what's going on in the world. We don't even have to have a discussion about it, not just today in this moment, but in life overall. So why would I don't blame you, collective. I wouldn't want to put myself around someone who's always negative, like always. There's 7 days in a week and they're negative 8 days of the week. There's only seven, but they're negative 8 days of the week. I don't blame you. I will remove myself too, because life is for the living. This concludes the read. Later.